Got my old Sporty all set up here. Got my phone hooked up in case I get any important calls. But we're gonna take a little ride, and I'm gonna tell you what is the most perfect motorcycle dome. And let's get old Red fired up here. Grab my old gloves, and we're gonna take a ride down some back roads, Arkansas. We'll get it backed out and see where we're gonna go. Anyways, what do you think is the most perfect motorcycle? Think about that for a moment, and I'll be right back. I'm pretty lucky. Live way out in the West End, less than a mile to a road that takes me dead into the back roads of Arkansas. Anyways, what was that question again? The most perfect motorcycle. You know, a lot of people try to tell you what you should get, what you should start riding on, what they think is the most important motorcycle. Well, I'm going to answer that question here. Wish this light would hurry up and change. You know, there are many videos on YouTube talking about the 5 best, the 10 best motorcycles to begin riding on, the 5 best cruisers, the 5 best sport bikes, the 10 best new bikes of the year. And people are always telling you, you know, what they think is the most important motorcycle. You get people that, you know, have a couple years experiences explaining what they've experienced. Then you got other people that's got 4 decades of experience of riding motorcycles, and they try to tell you what is the best. Of course, to be truthful, motorcycling in America, or to be a motorcyclist in America, it really is a very good time when it comes to choices of motorcycles. Back in the day, when I started riding many moons ago, at a young age of 18, we didn't have as many choices of motorcycles as you do today. You know, you basically, a motorcycle was designed for one thing, and that was to get you down the road. Now, a lot of people back then, they had their ideas what was the best motorcycle, and they degraded people of what motorcycle choices they had. But in reality, the majority of the people I knew, just to have any type of motorcycle was cool. Didn't matter if it was a little Honda 90 Trail, you know, a CB or CL 350 Honda, Harley Davidson Sportster. But nobody that I hung around with when I first started riding motorcycles wanted to have a big bagger. I'm going to mention that because a lot of the people that I ride around with nowadays, they own big baggers. You know, the best of what Harley Davidson can provide. And if they're an anti-Harley Davidson person, the best gold wing they can find. And but people, you know, people have weird ideas what being a motorcyclist or a biker or whatever you want to call yourself, a rider. And I'm here to tell you all those ideas are totally wrong, and yet they're perfectly okay, because you have the right to be wrong. And now let's get back to the subject. What is the perfect motorcycle? Myself, I learned how to ride on a CL350. An Army buddy of mine, when I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, back in 1973, back in the day, he gave me the keys to his Honda, and gave me free rein, whatever, of his motorcycle for basically most of the summer of 73 and most of the fall of 73, until he sold that CL350 to his brother-in-law. Well, you know, it was winter time. I found myself in the hospital in late winter, and for a few weeks. And then shortly after I got out of the hospital, I took that money that I hadn't spent, went down to A1 Cycles there in Killeen, Texas, and bought me a brand new 73 TC 125 Street and Trail made by Suzuki. To me, at that time, was the perfect motorcycle, because it was my motorcycle. And I learned how to ride on a 350, got to 125 because I figured, you know, I was a lightweight guy back then, weighing about 120 pounds, and a little 125 I thought would do me good, and got to do some trail riding, and even took it on a few extended trips on weekends around Texas. But I kept that motorcycle for about 4 months. Then I traded it in for a CB 350 in 1971. And all of a sudden, that was the perfect motorcycle, at least for me at the time. Anyways, I rode that bike. The rest of the time I was in the Army, that first tour. And I took that bike back to Toledo, Ohio with me. In fact, I rode that bike back to Toledo, Ohio, from Fort Hood, Texas to Toledo. In the spring, after having an accident on the bike, I wind up selling it to a childhood friend of mine, and then I went back to Texas. I went back to Texas, got me a job with the Army, and my buddy that taught me how to ride on the CL350, he came back to Texas since his wife was from Texas. During that time, jobs were really hard to find, and gotta let some air in here. Oh well. But anyways, you know, I wind up sharing an apartment with him and his wife, and a buddy of his who was working offshore oil rigs off the coast of Louisiana came by and left the first year Kawasaki KZ900. And my buddy Arnie, he was married, and so he used his car most of the time, and he gave me the keys to his friend whose name was Hippie, and let me use that bike as much as I wanted to. You know, that was through 75 and into 76. Anyway, to me, that was the perfect motorcycle. Wind up re-enlisted into the Army in 76. Now after a bit I wind up being stationed in Alabama, going to school there, learning how to be electronic repairer for the Pershing missile system. And I was there for about 11 months. And off another Army buddy, I purchased another CB350, 72 model this time. The first one I purchased was a 71, and that became the perfect motorcycle. I wind up owning a couple other bikes. Had a 1948 Survey car, Harley Davidson Survey car, that was a basket case that I was hoping that I was going to get fixed up and get it on the road. And it had a CB200, and I wind up selling all three of those bikes when I got orders to go to Germany. Out of all those three bikes, the perfect bikes were the CB350 and the CB200. It just depended on which one I was on. And yeah, we're getting closer to my conclusion here, right? Anyways, I get shipped over there to Germany in December of '77, and it was a brutal winter. I believe here in the States they had a lot of snow here. We had a little bit over there too. And after I got over there, I started saving up my paychecks. And for my birthday in May, you know, just before my birthday, I went to the Harley Davidson salesman who sold Harley Davidsons through the PX, and ordered me a brand new XLCH. And so when I took delivery of that XLCH, that became the perfect motorcycle, at least for me. And what my conclusion here is about what is the perfect motorcycle. It is the one that you're able to ride. I mean, if all you can afford is a 10-year-old Honda that you have to wrench on it yourself and such, but that's the bike that you ride, that's the perfect motorcycle. It doesn't matter what size it is. That is the perfect motorcycle. It's the one that you're riding on that day. Sometimes it's a borrowed bike, sometimes it's your bike, sometimes it's a new bike, sometimes it's that one that you've been working hard for all through your adulthood, where you sacrificed owning a bike while you raised your family, and then you become an empty nester and you go down to the Harley shop and you throw down $30,000 for a brand new Street Glide. That's the perfect motorcycle. Or if you are a young person that's just getting into riding, you buy your buddy's old beat up Sportster and you fix it up to your liking. That's the perfect motorcycle. Or, you know, if you always dreamed of traveling long distance on good roads and bad roads, and you see one of those beautiful adventure bikes like the Honda Africa or the GS 1100, 1200, 1250, whatever they are now, you put your money down. Once you put your leg over that motorcycle and start up the engine, that's the perfect motorcycle. Don't let people tell you, you know, you're riding and stuff, and they might say, well, that's good enough to start with, but you know, you just look at it and says, no, this is the perfect motorcycle, because whatever you got right now, today, riding down the road, that is your perfect motorcycle. No matter what you yearn for later, or what you save up for later, or what you want to wrench up for later, no matter if it's a 30-year-old bike, a 10-year-old bike, a brand new bike, if you're riding it, that's the perfect motorcycle for you, because live in the moment. Don't look for the future, what can be, and don't regret what's gone from the past, you know? Live in the moment. Anyways, that's my discussion on what is the perfect motorcycle. GoPro, stop recording.